We're going to go to Bryn in Texas.
Hey.
Pronouns are he, him, and very recent, last week, atheist, and wants advice on where to go from here. So this will be
very cool.
An interesting call.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I've been watching y'all's show nonstop, and it's led me down a rabbit hole, and I'm just kind of lost.
Well, you've gained. Sounds like you found something, right? So you're not completely lost. Why don't you give us like a little background on what your views were, and like maybe a little synopsis on how you kind of got out of that?
I was raised Lutheran, and I've spent quite a bit of time in Methodist and non-denominational churches. At one point, I was a youth pastor, and just slowly kind of fell away due to being excommunicated because my dad swore at somebody to several different things, like me standing up at the Methodist church when they were preaching hate against homosexuals, trying to say they were a sin above all other sins. And I'm like, that's not what the Bible says. It says we've all sinned and we're all equal. So like I had these like contradictions building up over time. And I was sitting in a humanities class 2 or 3 years ago, and when they talked about how I had never heard that there are different, or who was it? Moses' story is copied from another Indian story, I think it is. And it's been this slow disillusionment of all of this stuff. But I found y'all's stuff on YouTube by mistake, and it's now destroyed my algorithm. But I've started listening to Dr. Bartram, and that essentially just destroyed everything, with him going through the fact that the Bible is effectively just been used as a tool by the powerful to whatever. I'm lost. It's my faith was built on the fact that the Bible was, or allegedly the Bible was, the word of God, unadulterated. Regardless of what denomination that I attended throughout my entire life, I considered myself a Christian, not a denomination, because I was reading what was in the book. And when they started laying it out side by side and it directly contradicted itself, and there was extra things added, and, the back end of one of the 4 gospels doesn't even belong to any of this. It's just extra nonsense. And it's like all of this stuff is hate and his message is love. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you,
that was Tuesday.
It has it on here. It says you want advice on where to go from here. Like,
I just feel like sitting in my room, listening to atheists debate all these religions might not be the world's healthiest thing.
Well, maybe not, but here's one thing, right? Where you go from here, it kind of is already constitutive of what this process entails. I mean, think about someone comes up to you with some like NFTs, crypto scam. You probably right now have just started sowing the seeds of protecting yourself from these snake oil salesmen, right? So it's not just exclusive to the religious aspects. Where you go from here is constructing good epistemology such that you protect yourself when you navigate the world, right? Because there are people, I mean, look, we just got off the phone with talking about vultures that are swooping in, trying to get people to pay them money for and I'm going to say it right this time, a seance.
Yep. An e-seance, no less.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a very real thing, right? And so this isn't just exclusive in the domain of religious conversations. This is mainly exclusive to the domain of reasoning, right? How you infer, whether you have a good inference or a fallacious inference, it starts to become a lot clearer to you because you can start noticing, well, I thought, if this thing, then that thing. Wait, that sounds a lot like my Christianity and the way I was thinking prior. It's gonna like almost unfold for you if you keep diving into the content. It's just gonna fall out where you feel your brain just feels like it could navigate the world so much better by itself, not needing anybody else to try to guide you. It's just gonna be for me at least, when I came out of my spiritual beliefs, it was one of these things where I felt free for the first time. I felt like I could reason, sit down, write things out, and go from A to D and not have to like, what do you think about this? So, it wasn't searching for answers. It was I could actually reason to answers. So that's where you start. That's my opinion, Ben.
And then there's the
I mean, several of the things you listed off are absolutely the things that have, like, you've just, like, you essentially listed off the last 6 months. Like, it was me watching Scientologist. There's a YouTuber, and this gentleman, he's like, I couldn't differentiate between Scientology and Christianity anymore, and it's been scary losing those ties to the core of what I thought of who I was. And I mean, even going to the crypto stuff, that's stuff that I've been consuming to protect myself from it. Like, it's free is the right word. It's just
it's liberating.
Absolutely. Yeah.
very.
Honestly, audience, can we give a round of applause for this guy? It's really good. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's especially terrifying in Texas. Like,
it's not the easiest place to be. And
Yeah.
I've only been here for 2 days, so I'll find out maybe the more I come, the more I come
I'm
here.
40
But-
minutes from y'all.
And you didn't come
and
to
you
the
didn't
studio.
drive
Shame
down.
on you.
Come on.
follow
I
my
have no
example.
idea.
Why
I'm
are you
actually
here?
going to. I was going to go to a Houston debate with Matt Dillahunty, I think, later in September.
Well,
You'd love to
come
see it.
stop
Tell
by
them.
if you're that close. I mean, we'd love to have you. We have a big audience right here right now, and so we love to have anybody. If that,
Where can I find the information for y'all's next live audience?
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
I've got to scroll to it, but I actually have that as one of the announcements today.
We did not pay Ben for the segue.
Not a sponsor. We do live shows here the last weekend of every month, so you can come see us here in the studio. Here it is. If you happen to be in the Austin area, September 24th, 2023, for the Bat Cruise weekend, then please consider joining us for the live broadcast of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. Talk Heathen will be hosted by Objectively Dan and Sophia Spina. And the Atheist Experience will be hosted by Objectively Dan and Jamie the Blind Limey. Doors open at noon, and we hope to see you there. That's the thing that I'm supposed to say later, but now you get it early. Because you're special. Isn't that nice?
I feel special.
And it does feed into what I was going to say. There are positive things in religion, in things like community and togetherness and a sense of purpose. You can find those things elsewhere. These beautiful people are here in this way. And whatever you got good out of religion, find a secular alternative and go for that.
You also have the opportunity to quit looking for authority figures to tell you what to think. Because that's what religion's really good at. And now you have the awesome opportunity. Jmike talked about the freedom to reason for yourself. You'll be shocked. You may be to realize that you can sit there and deconstruct and pick apart and dissect every single thing that you hold dear, every single thing that you hold, and it might be overwhelming for a little while. But if you ask me anything, why is slavery wrong? You won't just get an answer about because it's bad. You could have a detailed reason for these beliefs, and that works for everything about why science is cool or why you have certain moral values. As you go through these thoughts, you'll start to find little threads and little roots and little nerve ends that are still connected to that religion from the past that you can still pop out and put something solid and concrete in its place and actually build something upon yourself. So you're at the very beginning of an awesome journey of self-discovery and re-rationalization of everything that you know and coming into your own as a totally new person and realizing a lot of the coolest things about you aren't because of this, but were actually just you all along, and taking out all the trauma that was associated with all these issues and just living a fuller, happier, more vibrant and more fun and more loving and more exciting and admittedly more terrifying life as well. Oh, yeah. And that's awesome. That's just so much fun, dude.
I don't necessarily know if it's, not even if that more terrifying.
The
whole thought of hell was added to the Bible later on. That's something I learned last night. It's what?
Yeah.
What?
And now you have the darkness to look forward to.
I find myself exclaiming what to myself? I'm playing video games with this on my other screen with y'all just 24/7 at this point this last week. And I find myself pausing and going, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you may have heard calls where there's just antagonistic people calling in and they don't, they just want to say their piece and we have a tete-a-tete and people go, why do you bother talking to these people? You are the reason why we talk to these people. Your story.
I realized that about 8 hours in. I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, honestly, like, because I was banging my head against the wall with that question. Like, why would you entertain this? You can't continue. Like, I'm already like, you can't continue to entertain these people.
Yeah.
Like, at what point is enough? But maybe that's the angry atheist phase starting. I don't know.
It is ubiquitous. When you realize you've been lied to for that long.
No, God, be angry.
If you get pissed off. And also, we were talking to, we just had the back cruise yesterday, and we were talking to fans about exactly that. Somebody was asking me about, like, what's the strategy with different people that you talk to when you have somebody who's just terrible and, like, just isn't going to listen to you. I'm an educator. I've been doing it for like 10 years, going out and doing shows and programs and workshops and classes and all sorts of things. And anytime I'm ever on a call, just like anytime I'm ever in a classroom, every time I'm giving a lecture, every time I'm doing a show, anything, the questions on my mind are, who am I really talking to? And what's the goal? What am I trying to get out of this? So, like, in a call like that, I'm not talking to the caller anymore. I may be addressing the caller and using the caller as the tool, but, like, I have two options. I can either try my damnedest to bring this person in and fail, guarantee fail, because if somebody tells you that you're not going to change their mind, you need to believe them and not waste your life on that. Or I can risk pushing this person further away and lose nothing, but end up bringing in a lot of other people like you who are already on the fence, who are already starting to question, who are intelligent enough to really rationalize through what they're actually thinking. And they might, end up freeing themselves from this oppressive thing, from breaking the chains of this religion. And that's super worth it. And that's the goal. That's part two. The point is to try to make as many people as happy as possible and help as many people free themselves as possible. That's what this whole organization's about. It's a deconstruction center. And so, like, what you're telling us here is a success story that makes this all worth it. And it warms all of our hearts. All of our black little atheist hearts are so happy right now.
It's when I started, like, aligning not even aligning my personal beliefs. Like, it's like I'd ask, what would Jesus do? And I find myself aligning with the Church of Satan and birthright, like, in rights of people, like, being able to make decisions on their own body. And it's like, wait, like, it's like that scene where they're like, wait, are we the bad guys?
Yeah.
Are we the bad guys? Like, hold on. Are we the baddies?
Yep. The death toll in the Old
with
Testament will tell you who's the good guy and the bad guy.
Exactly.
It feels like evangelical Christianity has just absolutely destroyed any shred of my ability to associate with it anymore, and it's awful.
I don't blame you. No. I mean, like, we literally.
And you said you were homeschooled as well. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine.
That's the whole reason I called, was because you said you were homeschooled in Christianity, and I was like, oh my God, like. Like, I felt so alone being
one of us say this,
and to hear that, like,
I don't know if any of us were homeschooled in Christianity, but I'm sure somebody among us surely was.
It must have been the live stream from.
Yeah, it was none of the three of us, but, like, we know people like that for sure.
There are other hosts of the show who have been through the conversion, who were believers and aren't, and it's because of their interactions with us and other people like us that brought them out of that.
Or
malaise.
Just reading the damn Bible and seeing how evil it is and how horrible it is.
I've literally been trying to disprove y'all all week. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I disagree here, and then I pulled up the other guys talking. I'm like, everyone is saying the exact same nonsense. So then I have the Bible that has all the side-by-side references, like 4 of them, and I'm just like, no, this is nonsense.
And you know what? That is such a common story that we hear from people, where they say, I was, trying to prove Christianity right. I was trying to prove that there was a good argument for God, and the more I looked, the more I realized there isn't one. Or I was trying to prove evolution isn't true. So I started learning about evolution. I realized it actually makes a lot of sense. Not to say that evolution and religion are necessarily competing, but in our culture they kind of are. That's so common.
That's the whole
reason
I was homeschooled.
Yeah, it's exactly. And, like, I have a friend. She is a PhD candidate studying bioanthropology, the study of the evolution and biology of human beings. She was raised in a Christian household where she wasn't allowed to learn about human evolution. And one day she sneaked off into the pantry with her textbook from school and started reading the chapter she wasn't allowed to read. And she was like, oh shit, that actually works. I get it. And, like, that's why they withhold the information from you. I tell the story all the time.
Like, it went from clay person and McRib person to oh wow, okay, this makes sense. Yeah,
My favorite is
good figure. You know,
when you have somebody say, "Oh, life can't. You can't make life from a rock. Evolution says we all came from rock." Well, what if you like grind up those rocks really, really small? Of course not. No. Well, what if you got the tiny rocks wet? What if it was wet tiny rocks? No? Okay, then you admit that humans can't come from freaking clay, right? I agree with you. God, so frustrating.
And I must have been on like an algorithm break where it was like over and over and over again, where they would get backed into a corner and then immediately insult people.
Yeah.
And insult their way out of it. And it's just like, or insinuate that you're going to hell forever. And I'm like, okay. And then I found the whole thing that like it was added in like the 700s that hell was coming, or whenever it was added to the Bible. That was an after. And it's like, so all that fear and anxiety and all of that my entire life. And that's what I'm feeling this week is the lowering of the anxiety and the fear. Like,
well, it's like the concept of limbo. You know what I mean?
There was military and been to war, and I am feeling less anxiety from letting this go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the concept of limbo or purgatory or whatever. It used to be believed that non-baptized babies wouldn't go to heaven. They go to this other special place. It wasn't really hell, but it wasn't really heaven either. And then all of a sudden the church came out and was like, never mind. Yeah. Surprise.
Your baby's dead soul has been patched out.
They realized the white baby void sounds
the white baby void, yeah, exactly.
Floating babies.
Turns out, the new software update came through. Purgatory isn't real anymore. And like that was a real concern for thousands of people. And now it's just like, we decided to change the thing you believe. What is that? And you see how insidious this thing is, the emotional and mental control that this has on so many people. At the beginning of the show, I was reading out of this Bible right here. And right here in the front cover, it says, "Are you alone, depressed, addicted, stressed, cheated, experiencing conflict or temptation, considering suicide, in need of peace, joy, comfort, purpose, or forgiveness?" Read on. They're literally saying to addicts and to people with suicidal ideation and things like it, this is all you need. This is the medicine. That is so evil to say, you don't need a psychiatrist. You don't need a therapist. You don't need help. You don't need medication. You don't need to get your life together. No.
Jesus.
It's all, give us money. We'll pass the offering plate and you'll feel much better. It is truly, truly horrific.
Because you were born with sin.
Because you were born with sin by the dude who gave you the sin to begin with, because he put two people in a garden and told them not to do a wrong thing before they knew what right and wrong were. You don't know what good and evil is, so don't do evil. What's that? You're evil now, and so now women have hard births, and you have to be sexually subservient to men. What is that? Just
sorry, Adam. The game was rigged from the start.
But also, the sin and evil is necessary for the greater good.
Of course,
so it's not an evil thing because you don't get the good.
And that's why you have free will, Mike. Yeah. Free will is what it's all about. Oh.
He didn't like the angels praising him. He needed us to choose to praise him. Like what?
Yeah, suck my dick, but do it willingly. Otherwise, I'll set you on fire. What a great religion.
Or I'll send you to hell. Like, for fuck's sake.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, pardon my language.
No, how dare you? It's a madhouse, yo. It's a very strange thing, and it's one of those things that we hope that to religious people listening and everything, they understand that like we respect people all day long.
Yeah.
But I have absolutely no respect for this God or this religion or this book, and I can't see how anybody else would either. And I respect people too much to respect these beliefs because these beliefs are horrific.
Well, and here's their own circular thought. If I respect God's creation enough and I love it that much, then I want to make sure that it's not harmed on earth.
Yes.
But yet all they do is actively try and harm us. And I think the several. I think I watched the Stephen A. Fry and I can't remember the other gentleman's name debate against the bishop and the prime minister. And I mean, even he's deflecting, and I'm like, but wait, what? Like, it doesn't get any higher authority than you.
Yep.
So how are you deflecting?
Because it's so much easier to, dude. I mean, that's you're hitting
it's known it's all lies. That's
Well,
why
that's
they don't
the
want
thing.
us to look at the Bible.
The religion is built upon the shirking of responsibility. The idea that it doesn't matter how evil you are, it doesn't matter how many people you murder or rape or torture or torment, it doesn't matter as long as you confess and just confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and you will have eternity in paradise. And, I repented at the very end. Meanwhile, this dude over here that spent his life working hard for charity and making the world a better place but didn't believe the same thing that you believe, that dude. That dude goes, burns forever. The idea of the thing is scapegoating. It's passing on the moral onus of doing the right thing. If you do something wrong, Ben, in your life, I might pay the fine for you. If I really, really like you, I could go to jail for you. I could do any part of taking the punishment for you, but I cannot take away your moral responsibility. I cannot take the burden off of you to go try to make it right. I can't make the wrong into a right by just taking it upon myself. That's not how anything works. That's not how morality works. That's a horrible thing to suggest. And that's what this religion is built upon. It doesn't matter what you do, what kind of person you are.
So
it's all right.
It's all. Yeah, it's excellent. You got it.
Did you obey your commands today?
Did you obey your commands today? Exactly.
Mafioso version of the good. Well, hey, Ben, we appreciate it. We're going to get to some of these other callers. Yeah, whoever has the big stick, walk it down the street, obey that one.
Right, exactly.
But thank you, Ben. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully you come down for the live shows at the end of the month.
Most definitely. We hope to see you soon.